Chapter
NK
81,
Books.
Side Story 1. What date is it today? Suddenly returning to reality left Van Nan still dazed as if waking from a dream. At that moment her phone rang and she instinctively pressed to answer. A harsh female voice shouted from the other end. What time is it that you still haven't gone to work? Do you not want to work anymore? Van Nan panicked and realized it was her department manager's voice. She had spent nearly 3 months in the game and hearing a familiar voice felt oddly distant. Say something, what are you thinking? The manager urged. Van Nan checked the date on her phone and saw it was 10 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday, so she was already late to get to the office. She calmly lied. I had an accident and was taken to the hospital, I just woke up. I live alone so no one could report for me, I will call HR later to report a sick leave for today. The manager was speechless and could not find fault with her. The company was strict about attendance, forbidding lateness, but allowed reporting sick after the fact. If there's nothing else, I'll hang up now, Van Nan said nonchalantly. I'm not feeling well and need a bit more rest. Van Nan tried to recall what happened before she died. If I remember correctly, I woke up at midnight and accidentally touched an old live wire and was electrocuted to death. Now it is 10 in the morning, which means I spent 3 months in the game while only a few hours passed in the real world. Hold on, what was I doing right before the electrocution? She asked herself. The department manager is about to go on maternity leave, they want me to temporarily fill her position. When she returns I will give the post back to her, she thought. But the manager worries I might become the permanent director, and when she returns she could have lost her post and end up under my supervision. So these days she has been picking fights with me, looking for mistakes to demote me while proving to the higher-ups that only she is reliable, so they will wait for her return. After thinking it through, Van Nan shook her head. Having just regained a second chance at life, she found internal office scheming unbearably annoying and only wanted a quiet place to rest for a month or two. But after checking her wallet and bank balance she lost hope. She had lived frugally for a long time and nearly forgot her monthly loan repayments for university, so savings were thin. Because of saving she rented this shabby room and now met with tragedy. An empty wallet gives me motivation, she muttered, then agreed to get a medical note from the hospital and call HR to request leave. The next morning Van Nan arrived at the office on time. I heard you were in the hospital, are you feeling better? A friendly colleague asked. Why not rest a few more days? Van Nan shrugged helplessly and replied, I still have loan payments, next month's rent, living expenses unknown, how could I take more leave? This is fine for now. The colleague showed sympathy. By the way, Van Nan changed the subject, do you know the CEO's full name? People always call him Mr. Vong, I suddenly realized I don't actually know his name. The colleague stared, how long have you worked here and you don't even know the boss's name? Van Nan smiled, I never paid attention, who cares the name of the paymaster so long as the salary arrives? Listen, the colleague explained, the CEO is Vong Dai Bao. He used to be an ordinary office worker, then risked leaving to do business and his career grew larger and larger, becoming the city's most famous entrepreneur. He has 1 wife and 1 child. Rumor says after he became wealthy many young women tried to latch on, but he is extremely principled and faithful. Mr. Vang always says he cannot abandon the wife who suffered with him, plainly that she endured hardship for him and he will never abandon his family. Mr. Vong has a son, about 28 this year I think, of marriageable age, but he looks quite kind and soft. But money helps, with a little restraint in diet he'd slim down. Van Nan asked, what's his son's name? I think it's Vong Fu Kui or something, the colleague replied awkwardly then added, whatever, people have blessed fates, life matches that grand name, if people like it who cares? That damn chubby name was indeed the CEO's son and Van Nan felt her head explode. Meanwhile, To then slowly regained consciousness in the hospital, his mother still on the phone scolding, how do you drive? Any professional ethics? Drunk in broad daylight and you hit my child. Compensation? I don't want money, I just want my son to wake up. My husband died early and I have only one son. I sympathize with the poor, but who sympathizes with me? Mother. To then croaked, throat dry. His mother was startled, cried out happily, "My son, you're awake," and hurriedly ended the call to call doctors and nurses to check him. She muttered that it was a blessing. He fell asleep again. 2 days later Then was discharged, wearing comfortable clothes and sunglasses, looking cool and handsome. He patted his beloved car and sighed, "I missed you so much these past 3 months." As he reached for the door he froze and noticed a ring on his finger, oddly familiar. The ring of true affection shimmered like an item bound to the soul. Then wondered if equipment, attributes, and skills could appear in reality. He tried to use skills, open his inventory and view attributes, but nothing worked. Only the ring of true affection gleamed on his finger as if mocking him. Never mind. If Van Nan died, so do I, so before dying I must live it up. He brushed the ring aside and drove off. That evening he told his mother seriously, "Mom, arrange a blind date for me." His mother was overjoyed. "Really? You finally realize?" Proud of her son, she immediately arranged meetings. Then sighed, "Life is short, one must enjoy pleasures." The mother, thinking he nearly died, happily arranged a blind date the very next afternoon. The girl was gentle and modest, the kind he liked. "After dinner, are you free?" Then worried that he might die without ever holding hands or dating, and the girl shyly nodded. "Shall we go to a movie later?" he invited with a smile. "Sure," she answered, delighted. After the meal he politely let her go ahead. She stumbled slightly and he instinctively reached to steady her. He trembled all over. "It felt like an electric shock," he said. The girl blushed and looked down, embarrassed. Then fell silent because he was not lying, he had indeed felt a shock. "So now we..." She hesitated but understood. "You should go to work, your job is important." He smiled and said goodbye. Once inside his car he stared at the ring of true affection. "You did this, didn't you?" A bright red line of text appeared, "Those unfaithful will be punished by heaven." He realized, heaven's punishment means lightning? The red text changed, "Not necessarily, punishment depends on severity. You touch and receive a shock, if you kiss or have more intimate contact." Then shivered at the thought. Then he panicked, "Does that mean I will be single forever?" The text turned green, "Wishing for faithfulness, grow old together, be companions through life and death." Then was speechless. He thought the inscription was mere marketing, but it was literal. "You want to force me to die with you?" he muttered angrily. A system warning read harshly, "Whoever betrays love will be betrayed, activation initiated. If the partner dies, the host also dies. If the host dies, the partner remains unaffected." Damn! Then nearly fainted. After hesitation he asked, "What if I marry the partner?" The text turned green, "Congratulations, the faithful become bound." In other words, aside from Van Nan he could not marry another. Dejected, Then had no regrets and went home morose. "What's wrong?" His mother panicked at his pale state, probing, "You don't like that girl?" "It's okay, I'll set up another, keep meeting until both sides are happy." Then replied blankly, "No more blind dates, it's useless, impossible." Then he dragged himself to his room exhausted. The plot here feels weak, pump emotional energy into this segment. Chapter 82, Side Story 2. Then had no choice but to contact Chubby and then search quietly. In a blink 3 months passed with no news of Van Nan. Sitting in his office, Then even entertained thoughts of giving up. He realized life felt bleak and hopeless without finding her. His mood swung wildly and his mother thought he was joking, staying cold with him for days. The year-end approached and Then grew anxious, fearing she might return to her hometown for the holiday and never come back. He thought angrily that she should have noticed the ring of true affection, so why had she not come to him? Relatives visited and Then was summoned home by his mother. She fussed over the little girl, saying, "Is this Downy? Oh my, she grew so much, let me see. She grows more adorable every day." She glanced at her son as if asking when he would give her a grandchild. Then fell silent, thinking if he could not find Van Nan the family line would end. One man cannot have children alone. The child cried, "Uncle, hold me." The 5-year-old loved pretty aunts and handsome uncles and reached out to be picked up. To then obliged and held the child. Downy pressed close and planted a big kiss on his cheek, giggling mischievously. Suddenly To then felt an electric shock. He reflexively hugged the child tighter and passed her on, then fled to the balcony to breathe. Alone he spat in fury, "Are you crazy? She is my niece, only 5 years old, and a kiss shocks me?" He clutched his head, nearly driven mad by a ring. He muttered that perhaps now he could only be affectionate with cute little boys. The ring of true affection shattered that illusion with a warning: little boys are forbidden, the host already has a partner, remain faithful and avoid intimate contact with others, remember the vow you swore when wearing the ring. To then briefly considered cutting off his hand to escape the ring, but he shook his head. The ring binds to the soul and such a risk was unthinkable. On New Year's Eve at last he found Van Nan. Chubby excitedly told him about the company draw on the grand prize, an Audi A4, and how the winners sold it immediately. To then hung up and went to her address, astonished at the modest old house. When she opened the door they both froze. Van Nan still looked striking, long black hair framing her made-up face and a slight smile. She tried to close the door, but To then jokingly blocked it and slipped inside. They shut the door and the mood soured. He asked if she lived there and she answered simply that she did because she was poor. He teased about the Audi A4 but she said the money had only just hit her account. She ate instant noodles on New Year's Eve and when he asked about family or a boyfriend she scoffed that she did not trust anyone to love her for life. To then hit his feelings and suggested she leave the city, but she said she had no money. She kept mentioning money until he muttered, "Today you have your lucky day." She laughed that she had indeed won. He scoffed at the prize. She pointed at his knowledge of the ring and said she knew about it. He was stunned she knew, and she joked that he was a gift who walked in, then half-jokingly demanded half his assets to avoid her killing herself and affecting him. To his surprise he agreed, then added that she must marry him. She mocked him, but he was serious. She said he failed her standards and declared she was a singleton who trusted no one, yet she would test the ring and, if it was harmless, they would date. She said if he could not betray her she could safely love him. His heart melted at her dimples. He introduced her to his retired mother and said he would marry her someday. His mother was shocked but after To then explained that refusing would doom the family line and that marriage was the only option, she considered and then accepted. The author notes that To then spent 3 months in the game to find a wife, with only small side effects making him wary of unwanted touch. Chapter 83, Extra Story 3. Many admirers hurried over to ask Van Nan, "Miss To, do you have a special secret? Mr. De seems to love you like his very life." Van Nan smiled softly and replied, "If there is a secret, it is that I never give him a chance to betray me." Inwardly she thought To then worried for her because he feared for his own small life, since the sincere feelings rings had bound them together. Many people sighed wonderful. Van Nan only smiled in silence. She had always believed there was no love between them, until one day. The sky was clear and it was their 3rd wedding anniversary. To then had planned a full day, dinner then a movie and finally a play. Halfway through the play the ceiling shook and plaster began to fall. Van Nan remarked, "I am not surprised at your pitch-black luck, choosing the one place with an accident to celebrate." To then fell silent. The audience panicked and ran as screams rose. To then said, "Let us wait till others leave, a few bits falling will be fine." As he spoke the ceiling truly collapsed. He dashed over and shielded Van Nan. She pushed him and said, "Why save me? If you are hurt I cannot live either." Debris kept pouring down in a grand clatter. To then guarded her and said, "Lo no, if I die you can still live." Van Nan froze. She nudged him and said, "You are talking nonsense, like you are secretly in love with me." To then laughed, "I like you, otherwise I would rather stay single than settle, whether you are sly at scheming, proud in rivalry, or spoiled by favor, I still find you adorable." He added, "It is true, sometimes I think the rings let me convince myself I had to choose you, yet I know I am not one to be coerced and a ring is only an object." She asked, "Why did you not tell me earlier?" He snorted, "I would never admit I like a woman stronger than me, that is a man's pride." She itched to smack him. He muttered, "Who knows if you would get spoiled and climb over my head, I will not give you a chance to run wild, the one who loves first loses and later will suffer." His voice faded. "Playing games together and digging pits for others made me happy. If there is another life," he hoped to meet her again. "Hey!" Her urgent cry rang by his ear. Before fainting, his last thought was that she was not calm at all and had lost her old boss aura. Nearby voices spoke. A doctor said a large slab hit the patient. It was dangerous, but he is young and healthy and is past danger. Now we only need to wait for him to wake. Van Nan whispered, "Thank you, doctor." The doctor said, "You are welcome, please stay and care for him." Footsteps faded. Mother to cried years ago a car crash and this year an accident. How could this be? I will go to a temple to pray to the Bodhisattva to change his luck. Van Nan soothed, "Mother, you have not slept for a day, please go rest, I will stay here." Mother to hesitated, "But you also did not sleep." Van Nan said, "I am young, it is fine," then added, "Go rest well now and return in a few hours to relieve me. We will take turns so he will not wake to an empty room." Mother to yielded, "All right." They spoke on but to then drifted off again. He felt tragic and wished he could pass out once more. Van Nan was a light sleeper and woke at his stir. She asked, "Are you okay?" He kept silent. He felt this was the greatest risk of his life. One slip and the rest of his days would be in her hands. After a long time he asked, "Before I fainted, did I say something to you?" Before she answered he feigned calm, "Sadly I do not remember, only a vague impression." Van Nan paused. She said calmly, "It is fine if you do not remember, I remember clearly." He winced. He almost forgot his wife was no ordinary person. He burst out, "Can you forget it for my sake? I saved you." Van Nan sneered, "You clearly remember, why force me to forget? Is self-deception fun?" Despair flickered in his eyes, he dreaded a bleak future under oppression. She murmured, "I have trouble trusting others, yet you are even more suspicious." He swore to seize her weakness to counter. When restrained. Unexpectedly she smiled, "Whenever I notice I like you a little I feel uneasy, afraid you will find out, use me, or trick me. Now I know our feelings are mutual and I feel at ease. That means we have traded weaknesses, right?" He was speechless and thought perhaps that was how others saw him. Thinking carefully it seemed true. Anyway, hearing that exchange soothed him and he felt elated that he was not alone in his infatuation. The author adds a note. A voice asks, "Why did the male lead survive disaster?" Another voice answers playfully, "The sincere feelings ring sparkles with pride," and says the physique attribute plus 10 is not just for show. Chapter 84, Ending 2. The host announced, "Dear friends, the 23rd survival game has ended. The winners are the Pure White faction. Did you guess right?" He added, "In 10 days sign-ups open for the 24th survival game, please join." He promised, "If you survive you and teammates will split 5 million in prize money. See you next time." The last shot was his bright smile. The director shouted cut. Thus the 23rd season officially ended. The host joked to the director, "Ratings will soar, who expected 2 sharks among shrimps, haha." The director warned, "Do not laugh yet, Pure White dominated throughout, viewers may not enjoy that." The host argued, "Since we began this virtual reality survival show audiences were thrilled, and survivors split 5 million so applicants keep rising." The director said, "Send it to post to cut and review, where are the players?" The host pointed, "Still in the pods, they will wake now." He marveled, tech advances so fast, 10 years ago who imagined this level? He added, "We can alter memories so players believe they died, and give them unusual experiences in virtual reality." He recalled old island shoots were hard and risky, now computers record all play and post can select and cut slowly. The director cooled him, "Do not rejoice early, viewers tire quickly, novelty lasts only a few episodes, without executives pushing ratings would not stay high." He confided, "I hear a huge event is planned, after the 25th season they will gather all survivors for a showdown." The host gasped and admired savvy leadership. The director snorted. Hot shows are not easy, Survivor prizes already cost the company plenty. He looked at the wall and sighed. Those two from Pure White are truly fierce. He said, I heard they are spouses and have cleared several games together, hands soft from prize money. He added, to ease difficulty they even asked to have memories edited so they were strangers. He mused, yet after round 1 they quietly colluded and later cooperated tightly to trap others. Sometimes I doubt the memory setup, why trust no one but each other? The host concluded, birds of a feather collude and do mischief. The director turned away. Next door, pods opened slowly and players sat blankly before understanding. Someone groaned, if I knew it was a game I would not have held back. Someone lamented, so it was not a struggle for resurrection after death, why was I so vile? Someone cheered, virtual reality is unlike ordinary games, it is so fun, I will sign up again. A girl bit her lip, took off a heel, and hurled it at her boyfriend. He dodged and wailed, but she struck hard without mercy. She raged, when death neared you dumped me and ran. No wonder they say play a survival game before marriage to see the truth. Mr. Lee, I am breaking up. She flung the heel and strode away. He chased, wait, let me explain. Elsewhere a short-haired girl fumed, great, we knew each other since kindergarten and played together over 20 years, yet you ditched me for a man. Without this game I would not know we were plastic sisters, I still called you my best friend. The long-haired girl muttered, memories in the game were edited. The short-haired one asked coolly, edited so you did not know me? She decided, I would choose you. The friend beside me for 20 years is you. Is a boyfriend of 2 months worth more than a friend of 20 years? I do not think so. She ended, from now on I will not be that foolish, go rely on each other, I wish you a lifetime bond. Hoo-ha, the long-haired girl called sadly, but she did not stop her, she had chosen. After the game some couples split and some friends broke, the scene grew chaotic. Yet not tearing masks does not mean harmony. Fong Deep sat petrified in her pod. Beside her, Lightning giggled like a fool. At last she snapped, you did it on purpose, right? He dodged her eyes, what are you saying? She flared, you said it was a birthday treat, I think you plotted to harass me. He confessed, and if so, you always liked me, so you will. Forgive a small scheme, right? He giggled again. She thought she did not know what she liked about this fool. She said, I do not like you now. He groaned, why are girls so changeable? Seeing her truly angry he panicked, scratched his head, then thumped his chest and declared, in the faction war you stood before me and I was moved, I will repay your life-saving grace with myself, from tomorrow shall we date? He watched her face nervously. After a while she calmed and asked, why drag me into a game just to confess? He grimaced, I could not say it, you could not say it, I thought danger in game would pierce the paper window. She surrendered. She grabbed his collar and decreed, from now on you have a girlfriend, keep away from all other females, if you 2-time you die, got it? He beamed and nodded hard. Elsewhere then brooded with his chin on hand, feeling his family status sink. Van Nan hugged him from behind and asked, what are you thinking? He sighed, I am miserable and under your tight oppression without strength to resist. She teased, do you want to run away? He looked skyward, what a pity. A win is still a win since she is his wife. She mused, this is the 6th game we have won, rivals always fold, wins feel light, collect 7 cups and maybe we can summon a dragon and wish for a high-quality match. She brightened, that would be great. He changed topic, any companies contact you? She said, many, they praise me as strong and pretty and want an ambassador, but I just want to play and do not care for fame. She added, after victories survivors split prizes, each season awards 10 honors with extra bonuses, I lack no money. She snorted, one company persists and thinks pestering will convince me, naive. He pinched her cheek fondly and said, they do not know you are a game addict lost in play and unable to stop.